So guys, we are going to have a tutorial about audiovisual our composition, which you have a part of the course. And if you don't mind, we are going to videotape this session. You okay with that?
Yes, okay.
Yes, good. So first of all, perhaps you can tell a little bit more how your composition idea developed from the last time we have discussed it, and where you stand with the composition process at the moment.
Yeah, so we were given assignment to create a track of music concrete, and we have listened to some examples and thought maybe some cinematic effects would be nice to have in that one, and we chose alien abduction genre. It well fitted our like general idea of cosmos and space, so we began developing it. And
since the last time we've added some new sounds, some more textures, effects, and so on, and just to improve the whole image and to make the idea of the alien abduction clearer.
You moved a little bit because we talked about you were presenting some transport idea in the very beginning, and you moved from that idea towards the alien. Can you elaborate a little bit why and how did it happen?
Yeah, well, about the transport idea, it is not that broad as the alien abduction idea, because the transport, it is hard to decontextualize, because the sounds of engines and other vehicle sounds, they're pretty common sense for the people to understand, and the alien abduction, it's no one knows what sounds should be when you are abducted by some other creatures. Yeah, so just more space for our imagination.
yeah, what is more, we have achieved with this team more of storytelling. We could get inside that person's head which was abducted. Like we could feel his emotions by his interpreting music, by some unusual sounds, and with transportation team we could have music piece, but this is not part of the assignment, so the feedback was helpful and we improved after that.
I'm excited to and looking forward to hear it. So can you play it now and we will discuss what we're hearing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that sounds quite exciting. Now, can you tell a little bit some context where these sounds come from and which sounds you decided to add into the composition, and after selection which were not taken for any reason? So can you tell a little bit more about that?
So we began experimenting by doing sounds in our room of the barracks, and we first tried household items sounds, and then we moved to the outdoors, and then we listened to the sounds, and clearly outdoors wasn't fitting enough because the wind was damaging it. So we automatically erased all the outdoor sounds and focused on indoor sounds and how we could transform them so they could be decontextualized. And we used several programs of time stretching by 800%.
Quite extreme.
Yeah, and when pouring water into the cup, we achieved some alien-like sound, like he was breathing somehow.
That's very creative. That's good.
Yeah, so that was really exciting to find that sound.
Now there is some concept behind that, I suppose. You know, it's quite a good story. You know, there is some story taking place. But what is the concept behind? Do you have some symbols in place in the way how you transform this message somehow?
Yeah, well, actually, the first code that is in Morse code.
Okay, so that's the Morse code.
Yes.
We're hearing that.
That's the Morse code that's in the beginning and the ending, and actually it is saying the Drake's equation, and that equation states the possibility of other creatures or lively things that could be in our universe, and that's an equation stated in numbers, and just we converted those numbers into a Morse code.
So you actually took that equation and you somehow transcribed into the music symbol?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we are hearing is just it's material which is actually has a reference to some real existent.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Now, what is your when you approach composition like that? You probably have some inspiration sources. I have one. I suppose you probably unconsciously or consciously took. But do you have your inspiration sources for this?
Yeah, of course, all the like science fiction movies, like Interstellar, about like Thing movie, X-Files, about spooky creatures. It's
Space Odyssey.
yeah, it's very tempting, and it's a lot of imagination you can like use to make space sounds.
Yes,
So-
historical background.
Yeah.
I heard the War of Worlds by Spielberg, and the aliens which come from Mars, they have this sound which is very much close to what I heard in your composition. I know you did it unconsciously, or but that's like this sound, like that's the alien communicating in your piece.
I think that's coincidence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never knew that fact.
Okay. All right. So that's a very strong idea you have behind. And now let's talk about some compositional aspects which could work, or at least you could try to see if that makes any sense in your composition. And when you try, you can see what is the better way. It's by no means there's no right or wrong thing when you create a contemporary piece like that. But some suggestions could help you to lead into the new ways of creativity. Now, one of the things which are quite evident in the style of musique concrète, and we are doing musique concrète in this model, is that we try to get away from this traditional music language. And even though you are using the material from sounds, some of the things still suggest in your piece that they have some links to the music language, and that's typically expressed through rhythmical patterns. When you find those repetitive rhythmic patterns, these kind of give already some musical form, and this is probably what something you would like to avoid. So see if those sounds which are repeating, either they are destructed in this rhythmical pattern and you add some other new sounds and they become just a part of the bigger, broader sonic palette, and in this way they not just like repetitive sound, pom pom pom, so that becomes a rhythm. You might want to do something different, maybe pom, maybe some sounds, and when you return to this pom sound, it becomes not expected as the listener would be otherwise suggested.
Mhm.
So this model calls for imagination, how to get away from the traditional music language. I think you did pretty well with the contextualizing the sounds. You can't really hear their origin. On the other hand, I always like to keep in mind John Cage's philosophical idea that try to see the things from a different angle. If something is usual to you, try to see if you can do it something in an unusual way. So the challenge you could take in here is to see how the Morse code works, whether it needs to employ the traditional Morse code sound, which we are very familiar with, this beeping sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe there is something different what can be replaced and still convey the Morse messaging. Do you follow what I try
Yeah.
to say?
Yes. Yes.
Because it could be, I could be wrong. You can try and see that this Morse code is just exactly what is needed, and you can't really get away.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
any thoughts on that?
Yeah, of course it is a rhythmic, but we can show that rhythm in other forms. Like we could put drone and sidechain that drone, so the silent parts would symbolize the rhythmic Morse code. So you would hear not beeping but silence instead.
That's an option.
It would be like contrast. Okay.
That's a good option.
Yeah.
Another thing is, do you have a particular storytelling in this composition, or is it just abstract? Alien abduction, is there something happening you want to express, or is it just general?
Yeah, well, actually, there is a story behind this piece, and our duty is to make sure that the listener is clear with that story, that when he hears our composition, he already knows what's going on. And the story is that the person is abducted by aliens, of course, getting some experiments done with him, and then being tortured, actually, because that's what people that seen aliens, they say that they were tortured by aliens, yeah. And also there are some sounds of a saw from alien eating something, well, supposedly that human that was abducted. And in the end of the composition, the whole UFO just goes back down to the earth, and then it smashes into the ground. And then again the Morse code, the Drake's equation. Yeah, so it's just all about to make listener to wonder, to yeah.
I noticed kind of this rumbling deep sound, which was kind of a little bit working in the contrast to the rest. I would suggest, from my first impression, is that it is difficult to read this message yet. Maybe delayering of information could benefit here. See if taking away the material before and after the important event could make this event even more visible, more audible in this regard. For example, when I don't know what's the most important thing, the alien spaceship is destroyed. So if it's at the most important, see if everything what goes before that and afterwards works towards this climax. Now that's the device you do also in the music composition, but the most important part, the peak of the composition is well visible, well felt.
Yeah.
So maybe see if that can work with the layering a little bit. Does it make sense?
Yeah. It makes. Well, it's a thing to consider.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I think not, because it's clear what should be done.
We have points to improve, then we will follow it. Yes.
Just try. No, that's the purpose, that you try new things, and you can always come back, and you can, because sometimes the first thing you create is the best thing. Sometimes it is so. But the learning process is that you try things, and whenever you create something new from this experience, you make better compositions. So I want to congratulate. It's really a very nicely done piece. It's very interesting, and see if those moments, some emphasis in certain parts can make it even better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. And then you know that you have to submit it by online.
Yes, we know that.
And if you have any questions in the meantime, you can email me.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, like we did.
Yes, like you did.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Have
for
a
the
good
lecture.
Okay.